Welcome to the Collide Kids podcast, hosted by Christen Clark. This is a show for kids and families. You are going to meet new people and have fun while you listen. Let's do it!
Hey, y'all. Well, the day is finally here. It's my first episode. I can't believe it. I'm just still learning the equipment and how to use the microphone and all the plugins and all my computer stuff. So you guys just bear with me as I'm really learning how to put this thing together as I go. That intro, by the way, is by Karis and Ethan, my daughter and son. I'm so thankful to have them helping me out. Speaking of kids, I would love for you to be a part of the podcast too. So at the end of this podcast, some friends of mine are going to be on to share with you their favorite verse. And then I have another one sharing his favorite joke. So if you've got something you want to share, maybe a fun quote or something like that, or your favorite joke, I'd love to hear it. I will give some more information towards the end and tell you how you can be a part of that as well. I'd love for you to be on. Well, today's first episode, I had to choose my number one fan, someone who knows me best, and that person is my mom. She has so much wisdom and insight, and she's even going to tell a little bit embarrassing story about me towards the end. So stay tuned for that. So here we go. Let's start with my very first interview on the Collide Kids podcast with Ann Upchurch, my mom. Okay. Well, hi, Mom.
Hi, Christen.
This is so fun that I get to start my podcast with interviewing someone who I know probably knows me better than I know me. That's my mom. So welcome to the podcast. I'm glad you're here. Let's start off just by telling people who you are. You're my mom, and I can call you that, but what does everybody else call you?
Well, my name's Ann. You can tell I'm from the South. I have a double name. I was named after my dad. His name was Lewis, but so I became Ann. Other people call me, those that love me, as they call me Lulu, and my grandchildren call me Nana. So that's some of my favorite names.
There you go. Yeah, a lot of people call you Lulu. It's like that's how we know they're a good friend or yes. Close relative, as they call you Lulu. So we'll call you. No, we won't. I'll call you Mom. I won't be able to call you anything else. So tell us about what you do, and this is a podcast for families and for kids. So tell us something about you that's interesting and kind of what your job is.
Well, a fun fact is I went to school to be a teacher. I wanted to be a teacher since I was in third grade. I decided that was going to be my career choice, and I never changed my mind. And so I taught school for 10 years. I taught second grade, loved every minute of it. But when I had my third child, when I had Lauren, the baby, I decided to stay home. And my husband, Tim, your dad, was in real estate, so I got my license just to help him a little bit. And as it turned out, you can't help a little bit in real estate. You got to go jump in with both feet.
No, real estate is selling houses. So you were helping him sell houses.
Right.
And okay.
Right. So we joke that I go in and talk to them about this would be a great place to put your Christmas tree. And Tim's like, I've never talked to people about where to put the Christmas tree. He's like, the road in the back is this far from your home or whatever. So anyway, we make a good team. But then 15 years ago, that's been for 30 years. We've had our license together for 30 years. And I still do. I keep it active. But then 15 years ago, our pastor that I've been a member since Tim and I started dating when I was 17, I couldn't date on a school night, but I could go to church with Tim on Sunday night. And
Ooh.
so I have faithfully attended church all those years. But anyway, our pastor, who was also Tim's cousin that we adore, he's like a big brother, always has been a big brother, really close. He asked me, would I go work in the preschool department. He said, we've started a lot of rules and regulations, and we just need some joy down there. So I went in they set up all the hard work, and I got to come in as grandma and just hug everybody and say, you'll be all right, and spread joy, as the preacher said. So what's really fun is a lot of my second grade students grew up, and I sold them a home, and now they bring their children to the children's ministry. So It's just that's been fun to see that. Full circle.
That's like 3 full circles. You just looped and looped and looped. That's fun. So I think that's definitely one of the things that I would say about you too, is that you're always joyful and you would always help people feel comfortable, which I don't think that's as easy for everyone as I thought it's just so simple, because I'm kind of like you. Like, I like to have fun. I like to make people feel at home or feel like that, that we're buddies, even if I don't know them. And I think I got that from you, is being able to be warm and friendly with people. And I didn't know that not everybody's good at that. So how do you think, I think I got good at that by watching you do that. How did you get good at being warm and friendly with other people, being joyful?
Oh, I don't know. I get my energy from people. Put me in a room by myself for hours and I'm like stir crazy. My office, they laugh at church because it's near the mailboxes. And so the staff will come by to pick up their mail and I'm like, hey, hi everybody. I just like talking to like, someone say hello. So I just, I like people. I like being around people. I like people that make you laugh and have fun, and I take it as a challenge sometimes when someone's kind of prickly or whatever. I thought, I'm going to win that person over. I just take it as a challenge, and I've had to do that a few times. I'm like, you just need a hug, and they're thinking I don't need a hug from you, but I just make it a game. I'm going to win that person over.
Yeah, I would definitely say that we are a family of extroverts. So that's definitely what an extrovert is. An extrovert is someone that likes to be around other people. They like to see other people. They like to spend time and talk, and that's where they get energy from. Whereas an introvert is someone who needs alone time. And I think we can all get energy from both, right? We can all get a little bit of energy from the other side, but some of us are made to be extroverts and some are introverts. And I feel like, wouldn't you say everybody in our family is an extrovert?
No. Your brother.
My brother, yes. I have one brother and I have one sister. I'm the oldest, which makes me the best, right?
Your brother, he calls himself a forced extrovert. He said everyone in the family is an extrovert but him, so he forces himself to be an extrovert. But what's interesting is he loves to act, which is he does commercials and he's been in some movies or whatever. But Tim, my husband, your dad, likes to act. And really, Tim's kind of quiet. He kind of likes to be alone or whatever.
Yeah.
I go in a room of strangers and think, look at all my new friends. And they go and think, where's a quiet corner?
Right. Let's be alone for a minute. Yeah. So what do you think, like thinking about my brother, his name's Taylor, thinking about Taylor, people that are like Taylor, and this could be for adults or kids. How has he been able to overcome that? Because he would prefer to be by himself, but he has to be around other people or he has to be with family. We force ourselves into, we like to get in the middle of everybody's life. And what are you doing? What are you reading? What are you thinking right now? So for people like that, how would you say how has he learned to cope with being a forced extrovert? We'll be right back after this.
You know, raising kids in the digital age isn't easy, but Bark Technology makes products that help parents keep their kids safe online and in real life. They have an app, a phone, and a home device that lets families set parental controls on their internet-connected devices. I love the app because it helps us manage screen time and blocks websites and apps we want our kids to avoid. It also sends alerts and gives us the ability to monitor texts and social media and even track your child's location. Visit bark.us to learn more about how you can keep your kids safe online. Use the code COLLIDEKIDS to get 15% off your subscription of the Bark app.
I guess just being a close-knit family. You know, he wants to be with us and he enjoys our company. And so he has to force himself. And then we have to realize when Taylor doesn't come downstairs for to be with us or whatever, just it's okay. Just to give him some space. At first we're like, what's wrong with Taylor? Is he okay? Is he mad? What's happening? Is he sick?
Because we know that if we did that, we were either sick or there was something wrong with us. But some people have different needs. And so maybe there's people that are living with introverts or extroverts, and you think, I don't think the same way as them. You have to kind of remember they need different things than us, right?
Right.
Okay, well, I feel like a lot of things that I've learned from you have been about being positive, about being joyful, about being friendly. I think that's something like I can be very angry with, someone from the, restaurant that messed up my food or something bad happens. I'm really furious and I'm going to call the company or working with people that, they're not easy to work with, things like that. And I've learned from you how to just be very kind and loving while still, saying what I need to say. So that's something. And you always had a motto, or what would you say is a quote or a motto or a slogan for our family. And that was what? Tell them what it is.
You get more with honey than you do with vinegar.
You get more with honey than you do with vinegar. Now, I like honey. I like to put honey on my toast and my peanut butter sandwiches. But what do you mean by that?
If you're sweet, people will want to listen to you, or maybe when you're calling them up and you're angry, whatever, if you can say it kindly, respectfully, even being sweet, you'll get more than when you call them up and tell them everything you're thinking. And we all are good at sarcasm. Your sister, when she was in high school, would get in trouble for being sarcastic. And in my mind, I was thinking, the teacher would tell me what she said, and I was thinking, that was a good one. I might use that. But instead of being like, and I have to say, Lauren, you can't say that, whatever. But we all like good sarcasm, but you don't have to say everything you think. Yes. Don't say everything you think, even though you've got a good sarcastic comeback.
Why should we not say everything we think?
Well, several reasons. One, our end result is you want a relationship with that person, hopefully. And I always say, if you're rude to someone, if you're ugly to them or whatever, you're probably never going to get a chance to tell them about Jesus. And that's the ultimate goal. Maybe it's someone you'll never talk to again, or maybe it's a friend. So even if someone's being ugly and rude to you, and they deserve that good comeback you got, you just hit pause. Just stop. Take a breath, pause, and then think, I hate regrets. It'll eat me up and I won't sleep at night regretting something. So I'd rather pause, think about it, say it in a nice way, say it with honey instead of vinegar. And in the end, hopefully I've made my point, or maybe I haven't, but I haven't destroyed that relationship.
And sometimes that pause might need to be for a day. You might need to wait a whole day, like think about, should I really say this? If it's something that's weighing on you, just wait. But giving time in between is helpful. And like you said, take a deep breath. I think that's you might need to take more than one deep breath, but
right.
It maintains that relationship.
That doesn't mean someone can be, abusive to you or ugly or whatever.
It's okay to disagree. It's okay that they say the things that
they want to say, but that doesn't mean you have to listen to them for the whole time. So that's good.
So hopefully there's a long pause. Maybe one day that relationship will be restored. But for right now, that just,
Yeah.
sometimes emotions are raw and you just need to let them heal a little while. So.
Yeah, that's good.
And that's hard because I'm a people pleaser. I want everybody to love me all the time, but that doesn't always happen.
Yeah, it's hard to be a people pleaser because I think that's something that we definitely can get from being a child. When you're a kid, you want everybody to be happy with you. You don't want to upset anyone. You don't want anyone to be angry or say things about you. And so you work really hard. And then when you get to be an adult, you realize I didn't need to work that hard to make people like me. Or maybe those were the wrong people to try to get to like me.
And I always go back to at the end of the day, I want to look the Lord in the face one day and look myself in the mirror and say, I did all I could do. And maybe it was my husband or my children. I want them to be pleased. But first of all, I have to please the Lord and I have to just be true to myself, so.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it's interesting to me how much I've learned about how my faith is not just about my relationship with God and what I learned from the Bible. It really does affect every part of my life, not just when I'm at church or on Sundays, and then the rest of the week it doesn't. And so that's kind of what this podcast is all about, is we call it Collide, because it's when faith and life collide, and it comes together in many different ways, just like in our relationships, good or bad. Our faith, is always going to play into that. Another thing that you have always taught me is how to be diligent about reading the Bible. You love to read the Bible. You love to teach the Bible. You're actually a very, very good teacher of the Bible. And so do you have any favorite Bible verses or stories from the Bible that you like?
Well, probably I have two. I like a lot of them, but two that
I like the whole thing.
I like it all.
I like the whole one.
I like it from cover to cover. But probably two very famous ones is Philippians 4:13. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. And that one is special to me because for a long time, being a people pleaser and I would say, I can do all things. I really put the emphasis on I can do all things through Christ. And when I became a mom, that's what I realized. It's through Christ is the emphasis.
Underline the different part of the verse.
Exactly. It had nothing to do with me. If the Lord didn't help me, I wasn't going to get through someday. So
that's good. A lot of people, I think, have that poster or have that verse on a poster or on a picture in their house that says, and they have it with their sports stuff, like I can do all things through Christ. But like you said, we focus on the I part. I can do all things instead of focusing on the through Christ part. So that's good. We need to remember that.
Right. And then my other one is Proverbs 3:5-6. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not to your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him and he'll make your path straight. Sometimes I think, especially now, it's just hard to know God's vision for your life, what you're supposed to do or whatever. But if you trust him and you have faith and you just keep asking, he'll show you the way.
Yeah. That's good. I like that verse too. I always think about you when I hear that verse, because you always said that was your favorite verse. And so what was it again? Proverbs
3:5-6.
5 and 6. So if you have a Bible or you like to study the Bible, I encourage you to look those two verses up. Those are really good verses. You can put them on a poster in your home or look at those, but those are good ones to apply. So, okay, well, this has been really fun. I want you to do one thing for me, and I'm probably going to ask all the guests this, is to share a memory from when you were a kid. But since you're my mom, do you have a memory of me when I was a kid?
Yes.
Yes, you do? Wait, are you gonna embarrass me right now?
Yes.
Okay.
When you were growing up, we called you the Junior Holy Spirit because you kept us straight. I mean, I was driving one time down the road and I was speeding a little bit, whatever. And you looked over at the speedometer and you went, well, that's Christian. Like, I mean, you kept us on our toes. Another time, there was someone, they were dressed in just like, I don't know, just scary. They had the dog collar, whatever, with spikes.
Yeah.
Right back in the day, the goth
like a
look,
motorcycle.
And I gave them that church lady look, and you looked at me and you said, well, that ought to make them love Jesus. And I've never forgotten it. And I've always thought about that, like that look you give people, even when you don't think you're giving that look, it's like that ought to make them love Jesus, so I try to smile. But you were always a child. But how old were you when you did the prayer rally, like the 11th grade? You came to us and you said, the Lord's laid on my heart for National Prayer Day to do a big prayer rally at the Capitol. I'm like, what? And you said, yes, I'm going to have preachers and a band, and I need to reserve the Capitol, downtown Raleigh Capitol building. And I was like, Christen, we can't do that. And then the phone would ring, and it was these pastors calling. They were like, hello, may I speak to Christen? We'd like to bring our youth group there. And I was like, what in the world? And I would just look at you like, this was amazing, but the Lord had told you to do it, and you went about doing it, and you contacted people, and you had a band, you had a speaker. We had a huge prayer circle. We had the newspaper cover it. I mean, it was just amazing. And I thought, God's going to do great things with this child. She is determined, and she is following the Lord. But he says, do it. She's doing it. She didn't care. She was 11th grade. So
well, and that's important, I think, for, and I appreciate that you guys never said, no, you can't do that. You might have been like, is that the best idea for us? But you never said you are not doing this. You never shut it down. And especially when it was things like that, where, I remember God laid it on my heart, and I thought the same thing too. I'm in 11th grade. I can't do this. But I think what it taught me, one of the things it taught me, is that we think we have to be an adult to do things for God, or to help someone, or to do great, amazing things. And you're allowed to be a kid and have dreams and be used by God to do amazing things. There's lots of kids today that are doing amazing things and are helping people, and they're even younger than 11th grade. So that was definitely one of those things. I didn't plan for the newspaper to do a story about it, and for all these pastors. It just kind of bubbled up, and then a lot of people were excited about it, and so it spread, and that's how it happened.
It was a God thing. It was great.
Definitely.
But I remember standing back thinking, oh my word, I would never have the courage to do that. But you were following what the Lord told you to do, and we just had to stand back and watch.
Yeah. Okay, so now tell us about when you were a kid. Tell us a memory or a funny story or something that happened when you were a kid.
Well, my first thought is, when I was a child, one of my favorite memories is we would go spend a week at my grandmother's house, and she didn't have any air conditioning. So she would, I would lay in her bed at night, and she would fan us, whatever, just, as we were laying there, and it was so hot or whatever. And she would tell us Bible stories. And that was just such a sweet memory. And then during the day, she had this great big tree, and she would let me climb up on this tree, and it hung over a garage, kind of a building. And I would climb up there, be on top of that garage all day long playing. It was my house, my office, or whatever. It was just, then I'd come down and we'd dig in the dirt, make mud pies or whatever. But I remember just great memories, even though today you would think it was no air conditioning or whatever. It was just, that would be terrible, but it was just great memories going to my grandmother's. So now we try to do that with our grandkids. In fact, your kids are coming to see us next week.
Yes, my kids are very excited. Yes.
So we try to do that. I want my grandkids to have good memories of going to grandma's house. Of course, your kids will go to school every day.
Yeah, they're not allowed to climb on your garage, though.
We don't have a big tree hanging over our garage.
Good.
It's all
I don't want them on the garage, please.
I know why my grandmother allowed that. But, it's a great
I don't think that's good for anyone. Kids, don't get on top of the garage. That's just not a good thing.
I played up there all day long, and I wouldn't let my sister. I'd say, "You're too little to come up here." I can only come up there.
That's funny.
Well, good. Well, thank you so much for doing this today and being my first guest. This has definitely been very helpful for me to learn how to use all the equipment and also for us to just get to talk to each other. I like to talk to you.
Yes, I like to talk to you too. I'm your biggest fan, always have been.
Yes, you are, definitely. Because you never told me no. You said, maybe we should think about, but you didn't say no. So that was good.
And I might have said a few times, do you need me to come down there and talk to somebody? I can say it real sweet.
That's right. She would always have my back, but
it's
in a
someone
nice
who
way.
needs you. I can come down there and talk to them.
Exactly. That was so fun. I just love my mom. I hope you enjoyed that conversation, and I hope you learned a little something about taking a pause before you speak, that you win more with honey, like being sweet, than with vinegar, being bitter. And she always wanted us to remember to lean on God and His Word instead of ourselves and our own understanding. So that's important. So thanks, Mom, for being on my podcast. Well, now it's time for the kids only segment. Now, this is a part of the show where each week you have the possibility of being on the podcast. So check this out.
Hi, I am Vance, and this is my joke. Where are flies made? Guess now. In Greece. Bye.
Thanks, Vance. That's true. I would have guessed France, but French fries are from Greece. Get it? That's a good one. I like that one. Next up is Vance's sister, Bailey.
Hi, my name is Bailey. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. John 1:1.
That's a great verse. Thanks, Bailey. I love that. That's a good verse to memorize and a good verse to have on hand. Well, if you'd like to be a part of the Kids Only segment, I would love that. I'd love to hear from you. You can share your favorite Bible verse or maybe an encouraging quote you like from a book or a movie, or maybe you have a great joke that you want to share. Just have a grown-up help you go to my podcast website, anchor.fm/collidekidspod. And on that page, there's a place for you to leave me a message, which that's pretty cool, right? You can find all the info on my social media pages as well. I'm on Facebook at the Collide Kids Podcast, or I'm also on Instagram at Collide Kids Pod. I'd love for you to subscribe to this podcast so that new episodes will automatically load each week into whatever podcast app you're using. This is just going to be so much fun. Thank you so much for joining and for listening in on this first podcast. I really appreciate it. In case no one has told you today, I want you to remember that you are loved by God. I'm thankful for you, and I hope that you have an awesome week. Thanks for listening. Bye.
You don't have to go very far looking for bad news because somehow it just finds you. So finding peace in the chaos can be really difficult, but it doesn't have to be because the River mobile app exists. The River is a Christian music radio station dedicated to playing music to help you get through life's toughest moments or life's happiest moments and everywhere in between. And all from artists who love Jesus and are real people just like you. Listening is easy. You can download it wherever you get apps from. Just search 1049 The River or listen online at riverradio.com. And know that The River is proud to partner with the Collide Kids podcast.